I'm Indian American, not American Indian, which means I didn't even get casinos or offensive sports mascots after white people stole my ancestors' land. My parents are third cousins, which sounds like incest, but it's technically not. Like, if you have someone come over after meeting on Tinder and the clothes are off, you're not going to stop. If you're like, oh, we're third cousins. But you're not asking about family reunion plans either. Third cousin sex is like incest tapas. You know? Light, fluffy, you can enjoy it and then forget about it. Ancient Egyptians married off brothers and sisters. That was the incest 4-course meal. I noticed that Indian Americans tend to be more accepted in white spaces than other minorities because we're tiny brown mice who'd rather stack cheese in the dark than pull the cat's tail. We're non-threatening, is what I'm trying to say. If a white liberal runs into a black teenager downtown, they blurt out, "I don't have any money." If a white liberal runs into an Indian teenager downtown, they ask, "Do you need a ride to the nearest spelling bee?" I notice younger Indians are also kind of reluctant to talk about how repressed their parents are. Part of it, of course, is because it's hard to get into, but part of it is because it gets in the way of sex, right? Their balls have been rolling along the kitchen table like two gulab jamuns, their whole lives until their moms say, "You've made enough money after med school." So they're just waiting to get that back. So when they meet, the first white woman who's like smelling like a yoga studio at 7 p.m. and wants to know what he thinks about His Holiness the Dalai Lama, their dick is telling their trauma to shut the fuck up. I don't really present as masculine, even though I come across as I'm not gay either. I think that I'm more like a dad in a romantic comedy who lost his kids in the divorce and is just riding around in a minivan looking for his mojo. But this romantic comedy would be like kind of perfect because no one has an attention span anymore. So picture this. Natalie Portman plays herself. We meet at a vegan food truck. I buy the last jackfruit tacos. She's annoyed until I point out, "Hey, do you know I'm Indian American?" And then she's like, "Oh, well, in that case," because Indian American, no vegan food truck is complete without an Indian American. And so I sealed the deal with a brilliant V for veganism joke, and then we go back to her place. Stairs, problem. So we go back to my minivan, the ramp comes down. Usually that looks like a Life Alert commercial, but in the moonlight, it's the most erotic thing ever. We make out for a few minutes and then get bored. And then she asks, "You want to watch The Phantom Menace?" And I'm like, "There's literally nothing I want to watch less." And then suddenly occurs to me, Israel is in Asia. She's from Israel. So we're both Asian Americans. And I'm like, "Hey, Natalie, it's like we're cousins." And she's like, "Yeah, I never thought of that. You want to get some tapas?" That sounds perfect. I think Indian Americans have a real problem with sex education. They did a study on Indian men and what they like to Google search. It's just true. They like to Google search women breastfeeding, not how to breastfeed, but the actual act of women breastfeeding. So the Kama Sutra, all those positions, thousands and thousands of positions, reduced to one act. And it got me thinking, maybe what women really want is, what Indian men really want is just big tits producing milk, because they love cows. Right?
Okay, that's good.